Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
Hey, little skeletons. I'm Gina.
And I'm Amber.
And this is Weird True Crime.
Oh, what the fuck, Wednesday. How I've missed you. This week, we're taking it back to the original Wednesday lineup with a very long overdue weird headlines. Just as there is no shortage of dumbass criminals in this world, there's an abundance of weirdness as well. Now, we're not going to be reading the headlines this time either, as that's always a dead giveaway of what's to come and ruins some of the fun. So let's see how many of these you can predict the weird, and which ones just leave you saying, what the fuck?
Before we dive in, we're going to try something a little fun and kick it off with a riddle. Marissa and Juliana went out for drinks together. They ordered the same drink. Juliana was really thirsty and finished 5 in the time it took Marissa to finish 1. The drinks were poisoned, but only Marissa died. How? Stick around for the end to learn the answer.
Our first headline story of the day takes us back to the weekend of the Super Bowl. I don't know about you growing up, but I was raised on wieners. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about Oscar Mayer hot dogs. Jeez. If you're familiar with the dogs, and you're as old as I am, you're also probably very familiar with the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. That beloved wiener on wheels has been gracing us with its presence since 1936, believe it or not. There's some fascinating history there too, but we'll keep it current. The current Oscar Mayer Wienermobile was scheduled to make an appearance in Las Vegas, Nevada for a series of events tied to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, early Friday morning, the catalytic converter was stolen. When the crew couldn't get the vehicle started, they had to tow the 27-foot-long drivable dog to the Penske truck rental where mechanics were able to install a quote-quote temporary catalytic converter, just so they could drive to their destination for their 10 a.m. appearance.
What exactly is a catalytic converter? I don't know these things.
A catalytic converter, usually referred to as CAT for short, is a part of your vehicle's exhaust system that converts harmful engine exhaust pollutants into something less harmful to the environment through a chemical reaction.
Okay,
Science!
It sounds important, but why the hell would someone want to steal one?
So, my husband works as a mechanic and constantly sees people bringing their vehicles in because someone stole the catalytic converter from it. Thieves can make a quick buck off of them due to the metals they contain: platinum, palladium, and rhodium. To give you an idea, the price of platinum went from an average about $530 per ounce in 2001 to about $1,100 in 2021. Palladium went from an average of $600 per ounce in 2001 to almost $2,400 in 2021. Rhodium averaged roughly $1,600 per ounce in 2001 to an average of about $18,000 in 2021. This has made the cost of converters go up for consumers, replacing them, as well as the payoff for the jerks that steal them. Joseph Rodriguez, the parts administrator for the Penske shop, definitely wasn't expecting to arrive at work and see a giant wiener there. Thankfully, his workers were able to find a catalytic converter that fit, making a temporary repair. The actual CAT to fit the Wienermobile would have to be ordered and take months to arrive. Because of how thieves steal the catalytic converters, the repair can be a challenge. There are gaskets needed to reseal the CATs and sensors that run all along to regulate the heat and temperature of the system. These parts are typically missing as well and add to the extra cost for replacement. Look, we're all in hard times here. Man, just leave the Wienermobile alone.
Seriously, what did it do to you? It's just trying to bring people joy. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not so well versed in the TikTok, and I never know what the current trends are until we read about some dumbass in one of our episodes, like this one.
Oh, dear God. What are they not going to make a challenge out of?
My sentiments exactly. Well, this particular challenge involves a lovable icon who made his first official appearance back in 1975. You would think that a giant glass pitcher filled with red liquid bursting through a wall and yelling at a bunch of kids wouldn't be received as well as it did. But sales skyrocketed after his debut, and he continues to be a trend today, apparently. You all know who we're talking about. It's the Kool-Aid Man with his booming catchphrase, "Oh yeah." I know you all heard it in your head just now.
Oh yeah!
Unfortunately, that catchphrase is not what a homeowner in Centereach, New York heard. He was awoken to, quote, loud noises, end quote, around 1 a.m. and called the police, stating he heard something that sounded like a gunshot. Checking out the surveillance camera footage showed 6 young men had kicked several sections of his fence down. According to the police, the ages of the aforementioned boys ranged from 12 to 18 years old, all clearly old enough to know right from wrong, smart from stupid. You get the idea. They returned back to the home around 4 a.m., where they ran through the fence simultaneously while recording themselves. Well, you know how I mentioned that the homeowner had called and reported the earlier noise to the police? Well, the cops were already there taking the homeowner's statement when the boys returned. How'd they miss the cop car? Anyway, the boys were arrested around 4:15 a.m. Cops would later discover that they were tied to a few other incidents of vandalism involving the same MO. All 6 of them were charged with several counts of third-degree criminal mischief and fourth-degree mischief. While this pales in comparison to some other trends we've talked about in past episodes, it doesn't make it any less moronic. Why can't kids find a trend that is less chaotic and destructive? What about a trend involving Snuggles, the lovable cuddly teddy bear from the fabric softener ads?
Because he's creepy. That's why.
True. No telling what terrifying torture the kids would come up with and manage to ruin any semblance of cute the bear still has.
Do we all remember back in 2020 when the world shut down, a man by the name of Joe Exotic was all anyone could talk about? No, Joe Exotic isn't back at it again. However, we are talking about an exotic cat this time. Back in January in Ohio, a man was being arrested after a traffic stop, and his pet cat jumped out of his car and ran up a tree. No surprise, cats are notorious for going up trees, especially when spooked. However, this specific cat wasn't your average house cat. That would be too normal, right? Ray Anderson from Cincinnati Animal Care and his team got called in to retrieve the cat after the Hamilton County dog warden deputies were surprised and unsure exactly what they were dealing with. Some people had called and reported seeing a leopard in a tree, but what they were in fact dealing with was a serval. There are about 21 states where you are able to own a serval with a permit, a few that it's flat out legal to, and 20 that it's completely illegal to own.
I will be completely shocked if Texas and Oklahoma aren't on the list of states that it's okay.
You know it. A statistic that I read stated that Texas is 3rd in the top of exotic animal-related fatalities. I'm sure you can guess number 1. Looking at you, Florida. In Texas, between the years of 1990 and 2022, there were 7 fatalities associated with exotic animal attacks, 2 of which were big cat attacks, 2 were elephant-related fatalities, and the others were from a camel, a, quote, domesticated pet deer, quote, and a buffalo at a petting zoo. Anyway, back to the story. A serval cat is a long-legged African wild cat that needs a lot of room to play as they are capable of jumping 7 feet up in the air and has a diet consisting of whole prey. They can grow to 3 times the size of a normal cat, weighing in at 20 to 40 pounds. This particular serval was named Amory. He was around 30 to 35 pounds and less than thrilled at the prospect of being removed from the tree. In a statement from Ray Anderson, he explained that the officers were trying to ensure they didn't lose the very reluctant feline while trying to remove him from the tree, and, unfortunately, his leg was broken during the process. Unsurprisingly, there wasn't much experience with servals, so the officers called in an exotic cat expert to find out what to do next. The expert told them that he didn't know how they were able to remove the cat from the tree without being completely shredded, and he would rather deal with a tiger.
That should be telling of the nature of this cat if the expert himself would have rather handled a tiger than a serval.
Exactly. Which makes the next bit of information even crazier. So the medical staff at Cincinnati Animal Care checked the cat over, worked on his leg, and ran a toxicology report as well. Yeah, there was cocaine found in the poor cat's system. How? No clue. They were unsure if it was environmental or experimental. The cat's owner was cooperative, and they had considered pressing charges, but after an investigation was conducted, they didn't feel it was necessary. They got the owner to pay for the cat's care up until he relinquished ownership of the cat to Animal Care's possession. The Cincinnati Zoo took Amory in, where they continued to care for the broken leg and work with him. A spokesperson from the zoo said that he was doing well and that he will be evaluated by their cat ambassador program to determine if he would be a good fit to be an ambassador animal in the future. Minus the cocaine. Look, we need to stop it there, all right? First we had cocaine bear, now cocaine cat. What's next? Cocaine shark? Please God, don't tell me that's a thing.
They make so many shark movies, I would not be surprised.
That's why that one popped into my head.
100%. So, some of you may know that Amber is our resident snake owner, but you may not know that I was once the mother of dragons. Bearded dragons, but dragons nonetheless. We had Booster and Mellow. They were fun, and people certainly didn't expect to see them walking into my house. Thankfully, though, that's nothing like what the next headline is about. In North Carolina, a code enforcement official for New Hanover County Building Safety by the name of Dean Brown was at a home construction site to do an inspection. He made his way through the house, room by room, performing the inspections he was required to do when he finally made his way up to the attic. He swept his flashlight around the attic and noticed a figure near the air conditioner. At first, he thought what he was looking at was a stuffed animal that someone had thrown up there as a joke to startle him, so he just continued on with his inspection. When he got closer, however, he shined the flashlight across it again and realized he was face to face with an 8-foot alligator. As Brown's flashlight flashed over the face of the reptile, the gator's eyes opened up wide. Quote, "I was about 2 feet away from stepping on its head," end quote, he later shared during a news interview.
Yeah, that would definitely be a little more jarring to discover than a little beardy. My question is, however, how the hell did an 8-foot alligator make it all the way up to the attic of this house?
That was the question of the day. When Brown reported his discovery to the construction crew close by, they didn't take him seriously because really? Alligator in an attic? He said, quote, "They laughed at me. They thought I was crazy," end quote. I mean, pics or it didn't happen though, right? Well, thankfully, once the crew had arrived at the house and saw the alligator for themselves, they called 911, who alerted animal control officers. Animal control arrived shortly after and captured the critter. Brown has been in the inspection business since 1995, and this was the wildest situation he had ever encountered. He theorized that possibly a door had been left open and allowed the alligator to enter the house. Still, how exactly he hinted all the way up into the attic is a mystery and remains one of those you had to see it to believe it type of situations. If this had occurred in, I don't know, Florida, it would have been a lot more believable.
So if I had my way, I would have Halloween decorations up all year round throughout the entire house. Since the cohabitants of my house don't share the same sentiment, I have to settle with my work desk and my recording space having skulls, bats, and coffins galore as decorations.
I can only imagine how your entire house would look if you were allowed to go rogue.
You know, it would probably look something like our next headline, actually. In Baird, Texas, which is located east of Abilene, there's a 2,168 square foot, 3-bedroom home for sale listed for $125,000, according to the Zillow listing. The outside of this house shows a charming, simple white exterior with nothing truly off or weird at first glance. The overview of the listing boasts that it is a, quote, great I-20 frontage property with almost 2 acres, end quote. Sounds fantastic so far. Other tags on the listing include faux fireplace, new roof, split floor plan, secret door, electric hookups throughout, big open kitchen, and outdoor additional buildings. The secret door sounds intriguing. Digging deeper into the listing, it says, quote, this is an established and running haunted house. Want to get your scare on and see who all lives in this cinder block home? With a basement? This over 2,000 square foot home offers 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. The half bath has the drain in place to add a bathtub or shower. Faux fireplace in the main living that is a secret door to the kitchen. Coffin doors leading to extra storage rooms. Approximately 10 by 12 basement with electric. Do you dare go down there? Funeral viewing room, extra living area, split floor plan, big open kitchen, even room for a gurney to prefer late night surgeries. Most all props, etc. can be purchased separately. Property sold as is. End quote. It's a legit haunted house operating under the name 13 Vultures Haunted Estate.
So they're literally selling a haunted house and you can buy the props to go along with it? Well, send me an invite to your first open house after you get there.
Can you imagine the housewarming party that could be had? I love scrolling through the pictures on the listing. One of my favorites is what I assume is the living room, complete with skeletons literally climbing the walls and ceilings. The kitchen is set up with a full-size gurney, a giant spider underneath it, and a maid holding a severed head on a platter. The funeral viewing room does in fact have a full-size casket set up, but the absolute coolest thing I've seen in the pictures, though, has to be the coffin-shaped door that leads to the extra storage space. I officially need one of those in my house. It turns out the homeowners are willing to sell the property in its entirety, including the business name, the website, the contents of the home, the house, and the 1.96 acres of land for $200,000. I know I would jump on the opportunity to have my own haunted house, but it doesn't seem like it's up everyone's alley. The house has had some interest, but no offers have been made just yet. A girl can dream, right?
That definitely sounds like your dream home. I would be interested to know if, that house has an actual weird backstory or anything.
Not that I saw. And there had been people actually asking that question. Does it have a weird feeling? The realtor that worked with the couple, apparently she had helped them sell another house before. And she did one of the interviews that I actually saw this headline from. And she was saying, no, there's no weird feeling at the house. It's just there's skeletons and all kinds of crazy.
That is bizarre.
Moving on.
Have you ever eaten something that made you absolutely sick to your stomach? I have a personal horror story when it comes to sickening foods. Imagine being pregnant and your spouse decides to make dinner, but throwing together a meal is not their strong suit. Chicken, chopped tomatillos, cherry peppers, and a verde salsa. I can still taste it, and he is no longer allowed to make dinner. That's a true story. Now, I'm sure we've all had our fair share of gross food combinations or borderline items past their prime, but that's not exactly what I mean for this next headline. A woman from England named Dawn Sager wanted to snack on some chips, or crisps as they're known over there. The brand, Walker's, is very reminiscent of Lay's potato chips here in the US, and if you've ever dug into a bag of those potato chips, you know that they come in all random shapes and sizes. Dawn found a very recognizable shaped chip and snapped a picture of it to send to her friends before she popped it into her mouth and chewed away.
So this recognizable shape, did they purposefully make specially shaped chips for people to find like a golden ticket or something?
Not exactly. As mentioned before, Chips come in all shapes and sizes, so it turns out the Walker's brand had set up a competition. Checking out their website, it says, quote, "Is there a heart-shaped crisp in your Walker's packet? Calling all crisp lovers. As Britain's most loved crisps, we're on a mission to raise smiles and share the love this winter. We're giving away a whopping 100,000 euros to one lucky winner who finds the best heart-shaped crisp in their Walker's packet of crisps." Unfortunately, Dawn was unaware of this competition and only learned about it after she had sent the photo of the chip to her friends. They responded as quickly to not eat it, but they were not quick enough. Unfortunately, since she consumed the chip before submitting it to Walker's for the competition, she is not eligible for the prize, even though she took the picture of it beforehand.
Yeah, okay. Eating a chip worth over 100 grand would have made me sick to my stomach too.
Same. Looking at the picture of the chip, it would have been a perfect submission. It was well-rounded and symmetrical. According to the press release from Walker's, they were looking for the best heart-shaped chip that could be found, so Dawn very well could have literally just eaten a whole lot of money. Gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, money down the toilet.
All right, this next headline is about that eventual time we all become living impaired. Spoilers, we're all going to die one day. It's part of that whole circle of life thing, you know? We can only hope that when we go, it is peaceful and natural, like in our sleep or something. More importantly, we hope that whoever determines that our life subscription has been in fact canceled does not make a mistake.
Oh dear God, that is one terrifying mistake.
Tell me about it. An 82-year-old woman who remains unnamed was pronounced dead at a New York nursing home on the morning of Saturday, February 4th. She was literally pronounced dead, so I'm going to assume that a trained medical professional had examined her and verified that the woman had kicked the oxygen habit. Her body was taken to the O.B. Davis Funeral Homes in Miller Place around 1:30 p.m. And around 2:09 p.m., she was discovered to be breathing by a member of the staff at the funeral home.
Wow.
She was taken to a hospital, and unfortunately, I do not have an update on her condition after that. I can only hope that the woman remained sleeping and she never actually opened her eyes and discovered where she had been taken to. But a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office said, quote, "This is an awful situation that has caused unnecessary trauma for the impacted resident and her loved ones," end quote. Unfortunately, this wasn't the only time this had happened. A little over a month prior, a 66-year-old woman at an Iowa hospice facility was also mistakenly presumed dead. A nurse at the facility checked the woman around 6 a.m. on January 3rd and didn't detect any signs of life. The resident was transferred to a funeral home where staff members saw her, quote, "chest was moving and she was gasping for air," end quote. The woman was taken to the emergency room and later returned back to the hospice facility where she, unfortunately, did pass away 2 days later. The hospice facility was fined $10,000, which is the maximum allowed under Iowa law. Losing a loved one is hard enough, but I really wouldn't want to be the person to have to call them and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, about that. Never mind."
Yeah, no. Also, maybe make sure your staff is trained well.
That could be it. Or, maybe they did, in fact, stop breathing,
Yeah.
no pulse, and then their body was just like, "Oh, wait, hey, no, we're not done. Let's kick that back into gear." So, there's no telling.
Oh, that's crazy. You thought we were done with that kind of stuff, back in the day when they used to put bells in your coffins. So it's just the fact that that stuff still happens is crazy.
Oh, that's right. I love that creepy little bit of history.
Mm-hmm. That's what it reminds me of, for sure. It is no secret around here that Amber and I are fans of the Scream movies. In fact, we named our little Skelly logo man Billy after Mr. Loomis himself. I just discovered I never saw Scream 4, but Scream 5 or Scream 2020, whatever you want to call it, I didn't really mind. Jenna Ortega is awesome, and I wasn't disappointed with the new one either. but nothing will ever beat the original.
Same here. Original trilogy for life, but I can't not see the new ones, so.
Exactly. The new Ghostface in Scream 6 is even more ruthless than before, which makes sense. Always have to go bigger and better with each sequel, or I suppose now it's a franchise, so new rules apply. Ghostface is now a widely recognized horror icon, and the image of him creeping around can be disturbing. Turns out, on February 27th of this year, in California, the Sonoma Police Department Dispatch Center received multiple phone calls about someone standing at the corner of First Street and East Napa Street wearing the Ghostface garb. The Ghostface stood for at least an hour completely still in the rain before he slowly walked towards a lamppost and then through a crosswalk. The police arrived on the scene and made contact with the ghost man, who informed the deputies that he had been hired by Paramount Pictures to promote the upcoming film. To make it even funnier, Ghostface's official Twitter account joined in on the fun and tweeted out, "I was just minding my business," and "I'm watching you," in response to creepy webcam photos that have been capturing his sightings around the country. Sonoma has a history with the Scream franchise as well. Scenes for the original 1996 movie were filmed across Sonoma County, including the area near Sonoma Square as a stand-in for the fictional town of Woodsboro. Sonoma's community center, located a couple of blocks away from where this publicity stunt took place, was shot as the movie's high school. As expected, not everyone was happy with this happening and wished that Paramount had kept Ghostface prowling around the movie theater instead of in the streets. Others praised the cheeky nod to the original film, stating, quote, "I mean, he was standing on the street where the original movie was filmed. Not that weird or scary. Nostalgic," end quote. Hey, Amber, want to go on a road trip?
Yes, let's go.
Okay, bye, kids. We're leaving.
Okay, bye. I am not the biggest fan of cooking, but I'm also not a fan of leaving my house and encountering people either. Thankfully, there are sites like Grubhub and Instacart that have allowed me to remain the homebody I am while still getting the food necessary for survival. I'll be the first to admit that at one time I probably spent more than I care to say out loud on ordering in Grubhub meals. The apps just make it too easy.
Yeah, I'm addicted and use them multiple times a week. Not gonna lie.
Well, in Michigan, a man let his 6-year-old son use his cell phone to play a game before bedtime one Saturday night. To his surprise, food from several different restaurants started showing up at his house. Orders of jumbo shrimp, salads, chicken pita sandwiches, chili cheese fries, and other foods arrived one by one, driver after driver, at Keith Stonehouse's home. It took a few different deliveries for him to realize something was amiss. You know, lots of delivery companies just do a porch drop-off now, and Keith probably assumed it was just a wrong address mistake or something. Well, when they kept coming, Keith was shocked to discover that his son Mason had used his Grubhub account to order a freaking smorgasbord of food instead of playing a game. Unfortunately, by the time he discovered what had happened, there was nothing he could do to stop the deliveries. The food added up quickly as Keith was staring at a $1,000 total for all of the food Mason had ordered. He ordered from so many places that Chase Bank sent him a fraud alert, declining a $439 order from Happy's Pizza. But the $183 order of jumbo shrimp went through. The boy's mother, Kristen Stonehouse, said in an interview that Grubhub did reach out to them and offered them a $1,000 gift card, and that there could be the potential for using the family in an online promotional campaign. The family has tried to laugh with everyone else, but decided to use this as a teaching moment for their son, showing him that what he did could be compared to stealing. Most of the food went into the refrigerator, but they also invited some of their neighbors over to help consume the feast. I mean, it was definitely a lot of money, but in the grandest scheme of things, there are worse things that the little dude could have purchased, right?
100%. I mean, it could have been Roblox. He could have been getting Robux, but instead he was just like buying y'all a lot of food.
At least it's something that's useful.
Exactly. All right. So we've covered weird, we've covered surprising, and expensive. So let's end off this episode of Weird Headlines with a little wholesome, shall we? When I was a little girl, I wanted a pet pony or a horse, as I know lots of other little girls wanted a pet unicorn or something as well. Heartbreaking when their hopes and dreams were dashed as they discovered a unicorn is not of the exotic pet variety, but the mythical variety. Thankfully, there is a shred of youth and innocence left to be found in the world.
I know I wanted a pet duck. Or a pet skunk growing up. I was a weird child.
Yeah. Yes, you were. I'm pretty sure I begged my parents for various pets, but gave up when they said no. However, a little girl in LA decided to take it upon herself and write a letter to the Los Angeles County Animal Care and Control asking for permission to keep a unicorn in her backyard if she were able to find one. Quote, "Dear LA County, I would like your approval if I can have a unicorn in my backyard if I can find one. Please send me a letter in response." End quote. The little girl, Madeline, wrote. Director Marcia Mayeda shared a picture of the letter on their Facebook page along with her response. Quote, "Thank you very much for your letter requesting permission to have a unicorn in your backyard. I am pleased to tell you that the Los Angeles County Department of Animal Care and Control does license unicorns under the following conditions. 1. The unicorn must be cared for in compliance with all animal caretaking regulations set forth in Los Angeles County Code Title 10. 2. The unicorn is given regular access to sunlight, moonbeams, and rainbows. 3. The unicorn is fed one of its favorite treats, watermelon, at least once each week. 4. The unicorn's horn must be maintained to be in good health. This requires polishing at least once a month with a soft cloth. 5. Any sparkles or glitter used on the unicorn must be non-toxic and biodegradable to ensure the unicorn's good health. End quote. Along with the letter, a pre-approved unicorn license was included in the event Madeline was able to find her own to keep. But because they are very rare, Marcia also got a stuffed unicorn, complete with a heart-shaped name tag indicating it was a permanent unicorn license in Los Angeles to give her.
Okay, it's pretty dang adorable.
It gets even cuter. In a Facebook post dated December of 2022, Marcia shared that she actually met with Madeline and her family on Madeline's 7th birthday and gave them a private tour. She also reviewed the unicorn license application with her. She then gave her the pre-approved unicorn license, tag, stuffed animal, and gifts that people had sent in for her. She wrote, quote, "The nonprofit Los Angeles County Animal Care Foundation established Madeline's Magical Unicorn Fund, where people can obtain their one unicorn license and tag, with a donation to help the foundation's work supporting the care of unicorns and other animals cared for by the LA County Department of Animal Care and Control." End quote.
Duh.
That's so stinking cute.
Isn't it?
Yes. That's a great one to end it on. Well, that concludes this episode of What the Fuck Wednesday. Did we miss the weird headlines? I know I did. Hey, if you have a weird headline of your own or a spooky story, or just want to tell us how awesome we are, email it to us at weirdtruecrime@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Instagram to get visual content and hilarious memes, because comedy really is cheaper than therapy. You can find the links to all of our socials and our new Facebook group in our show notes.
Have you figured out the answer to the riddle yet? We'll say it again. Marissa and Juliana went out for drinks together. They ordered the same drink. Juliana was really thirsty and finished 5 in the time it took Marissa to finish 1. The drinks were poisoned, but only Marissa died. How? The answer is, the poison was in the ice. Since Marissa's ice had time to melt, she was poisoned, but Juliana wasn't.
Tricky. Until next time, stay safe.
And make good choices.
Bye. Before we dive in, we are going to try something a little fun and kick it off. Did you hear that?
No, but you sounded like this was your first time ever saying human words.
Okay, great. Well, this particular challenge involves a level global.
Your brain only had the capacity to focus on not coughing. The English language just went out the goddamn window.
You would think that a Goliath? Jesus!
Oh, that was an octave you reached just then. Congrats.
It's the meds. I can't think straight. Okay. But sales skyrocket at fuck, Amber!
Thank God it's a What the Fuck Wednesday that we're recording.
Okay.
You did it! You made it through that one. Congratulations.
Oh my God. It's a miracle.
Do we all know? That's not how I wanted to start that at all. I am not an opera singer. In Texas, between the years of 1990 and 2022, there were Fuck! In Texas. No, we're not going to do that. Just let me woos off for a minute and we'll go get shit. Dustin, I'm sorry.
How exactly had he ended up all the way? Fuck. That's not what that says at all.
Okay, how quickly can I come up with 200 grand?
You do need a coffin door, though.
So, this recognizable shape, did they purposefully make specially shaped shit?
Did they specially shaped shit? Yes.
Oy vey. Okay, we made it through that one. Powering on. Let's do this.
It is no secret around here that Amber and I are friends. Yes,
we
we
are
are friends. Fuck! Or I suppose now it's a franchise.
Franchise.
Franchise. I got excited and then I messed it up.